And if you are someone like me and you are used to living in overwhelm, or maybe I'm not saying that anybody enjoys overwhelm, but I can tell you my brain kind of thrives on that dopamine hit of having to squeeze everything in and having to feel like there's a lot to do. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Peace and Plenty in 20. I'm your host, Janine Deramo, transformational coach for midlife women. And today's episode is deeply personal and also something that is going to have a profound effect on your daily life with just a tiny bit of effort. So, I want you to consider the idea of doing something for 5 minutes. Are you the type of person that thinks, yeah, 5 minutes is a good amount of time, or 5 minutes, that counts? Women like us have somehow been sold this idea or this notion that if it's not big, or if it's not time consuming, or if it's not done a certain way, that it's not even worth doing, that we should be doing things a certain way. And if we don't do them, that we're really not being productive or effective, or insert whatever adjective you want. But that is not the truth. It's just a belief that we've grown up with. It's a lie that we've been served. And I'm really passionate about this because it's something that has affected me my entire life, this all or nothing way of thinking. And I am here to rewrite that story. I am here to help you change that narrative. And that's what we're going to jump into today. So I want to start with a little story time. And some of you that follow me may already know this, but in November, I was rushing from work to my daughter's volleyball game. I had my laptop, my work bag on one arm, my phone, my latte in the other. And I was just in such a haste to get to the game because I had been rushing coming from work. And I wound up falling in the parking lot and hurting my one side, my rib and my back. And that injury, unfortunately, followed me all the way through Thanksgiving and our trip to Europe. And it really was, no pun intended, like a pain in my side the entire time. And being away gave me time to reflect upon the fact that I had been hustling so hard and spending 8 hours at the office trying to build content for December and trying to make sure everything was perfect with my holiday toolkit that I was launching on Black Friday. And I was working to interview virtual assistants, working on this show, working on all my content for social media, as well as my email marketing. And I had no real balance. I really was starting to burn out, and without even realizing it. And this is something I literally do for a living. So it occurred to me that so many of us can fall into this trap without even recognizing it. And it took something for me, like a literal fall, to kind of pattern interrupt me and like snap me back to, okay, what is going on here? I felt a little bit like, not that I didn't plan the vacation well, because we still had a great trip, but there was a part of me that thought, did I put enough time into planning this trip? Did I plan it the way I would have had I not been, like I said, working 8, 9, 10 hours a day? And that is not something that is reflected in my values. And again, it's so easy to lose sight of when you're in the everyday, when you're in the hustle and bustle. So I think it's important that at this time of year, especially, and if you saw my stories yesterday morning, you will see that I am trying to recalibrate myself back to the place where I pride myself on being, and taking the 5-10 minutes for my body, my mind, my soul. And it is important that at this time of year, or whenever you are caught in a busy season or just a cycle of a lot of things happening in your life, it is imperative that at those times, that's when we need that self-care, those minutes of stillness, the time to meditate, the opportunity to stretch and move your body. That's when those things matter the most. And it seems counterintuitive because we're trying to squeeze so much in that it's often the first thing to go. The other thing that used to get in my way, it was one of my roadblocks, one of my obstacles. And before I started working with a coach, I didn't really recognize it. But one of the things that I used to struggle with was this preconceived notion, this expectation of what it is supposed to look like. And I'm saying it because you can insert whatever the thing is for you that you either want to be doing or know you should be doing for the betterment of yourself, like moving your body, time for mindfulness, whether it's also prayer or getting outdoors in nature, meditation, just the self-care practices. And when I say self-care, I don't mean manicures and, massages and spa days. I mean, those are great too. I'm not knocking those. I'm just explaining that self-care literally means the act of taking care of yourself beyond all your other responsibilities in the day, beyond checking all the boxes of all the responsibilities and tasks that you have. Are you checking in with yourself as you're checking off those boxes? Because I can tell you a month ago, I was not. So I think it's important, going back to that idea of having expectations and having this idea that a workout is an hour long or a meditation needs to be at least 30 minutes or, for whatever the thing is to be effective, it has to take up a lot of your time. And that's just not the truth. 5 minutes can shift the trajectory of your day. 10 minutes. So for example, this morning, I did not have a ton of time, but I knew as soon as the inkling started to creep in, like, oh, well, you know what? If you don't go down to the basement and you don't get on the Peloton and you don't do the prayer and the meditation, that'll shave off so much time. I can get to the office sooner. I can prep more. I did not allow myself to do it. I said, nope, we're going to do 5 minutes. And I did. I got on my Peloton app and I did walking and cardio yesterday. So today I wanted to do some strength. So I just pulled up strength. I did, you can filter it by the amount of time. So I pulled up 5 minutes and I found a standing 5-minute core strength, did that. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I really want to do some upper body. So I found another 5-minute. So just telling myself to get down there for 5 minutes, and the core would have been fine. But I looked at the time. I was like, you know what? I actually have the time, and this is something intuitively, and that's a whole nother topic, but that's something when you start to slow down, your body will tell you exactly what it needs. And my body was telling me, let's do a little upper body. So that was another 5 minutes. So 10 minutes for that. Then I sat down and did my prayers. I did some meditations and I came up with a mantra. It took me 2 minutes and I repeated it to myself just for like a minute, put it on a Post-it, and now I'm carrying it with me throughout the day. Those small acts, like that 15 minutes, set my day on the trajectory that I want to be on. And if you are someone like me and you are used to living in overwhelm, or maybe I'm not saying that anybody enjoys overwhelm, but I can tell you my brain kind of thrives on that dopamine hit of having to squeeze everything in and having to feel like there's a lot to do. And so that feeling of overwhelm that's telling us that we have to speed up, it's a lie, because what we actually need to do is slow down. And, I like to think about being the good girl, and I struggle with this because our nervous system doesn't need a gold star. It needs to be reset. It needs to be consistent. It needs to be calm and grounded. So I want to invite you to try to live into this month the way that I am, meaning slow down first and foremost. Recalibrate, reconnect with yourself, get really present. And because of all seasons and times of the year, I think this is a beautiful time to do that, when there is so much going on, but when we really want to be focused on the why of it all. Why do 5-minute habits actually work? And I love the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he illustrates throughout the book that small actions compound and build interest and will actually get you where you want to go in a much more consistent manner than trying to do huge overhauls, taking on a large goal or a lofty goal and trying to stick to that. If you can implement very small, sustainable daily habits, that's what's going to start to click. And that's what's going to keep you coming back day after day without even having to think about it, without needing that motivation, without having to use that cognitive energy to tell yourself to get up and do the thing that you know you want to do. So that is why, for me, I have learned this time and time again in my life, that I respond to the frequency of doing something and also having it be small enough and easy enough that I know I can handle it. I want you to think about where in your day you can slow down. And this is going to look different for everybody, because some people will prefer or will have more time to fit it in the morning. Maybe it's midday. Maybe you can take a lunch break or a part of the afternoon to slow down. Or maybe it's the evening. Whatever it is, be intentional about it and decide, when are you going to take the time in the next few weeks to be sure that you're checking in with yourself, that you're slowing down, that you're taking time for the things that are going to keep you grounded, that are going to keep your nervous system at a calm place. I know for myself, I had this conversation yesterday with my therapist, that with all of the holiday stuff coming and with having all 3 teenage girls home under my roof, I know that I need to be more grounded than ever. I need to be ready to handle whatever meltdowns are coming. And the only way that I can be in that place is to do the things that I know help keep me feeling the way I want to feel. And so it could be something like, maybe you're going to stretch for 5 minutes before your coffee in the morning. Maybe you're going to take a 10-minute walk outside after your coffee. Maybe you're not a meditation person, but there's an audiobook or there's something that you like to listen to that just brings you peace and calms you. Maybe it is prayer or meditation. When are you going to fit that into your day? Even if it's 5 minutes, of just sitting and doing nothing. And I know that sounds ridiculous. And I know also that what can happen when you sit for 5 minutes in stillness is that all the thoughts creep in. But if we can take the time to slow down, you're going to be able to hear more of what you need. You're going to be able to recognize either what your body or your mind or your soul is calling for. It's in the stillness. It's in those moments of solitude and quiet when we really can hear our own voice. I'm a big fan of lighting some candles, make a cup of tea, take a hot bath. I mean, these are all small luxuries, but if you implement them, they can make a huge difference, my friends. I am going to ask you as your action step this week, tell me, what are you going to do each day or most days? Listen, consistency is just about showing up most days. I don't want you beating yourself up. I don't want any type of setup for this is another thing I'm supposed to be doing. No, this is about do me a favor and take 5 days, 6 days, 7 days to just intentionally say, you know what? Here's what I'm doing to regulate my nervous system for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you want it to be, whatever fits into your schedule. This is highly personal and customizable. But your action step is to find that thing that's going to help keep you in the most regulated, calm, and present state that you can be. I want you to enjoy the fulfillment of the season. I want you to feel the joy. I want you to feel the peace, most of all. And I want you to indulge in the plenty. And for us to truly take all of those in, we have to be present. We have to get out of our heads, out of our amygdala, and we need to take care of ourselves just like we're doing for everybody else. I also want to say, if you have been feeling a call for this state, and if you know that you want to do things differently in 2026, and you want support and accountability and somebody to show you the way, I am happy to say that starting in January, I have a few spots for new one-on-one clients. I would love to talk with you. Reach out to me. There's lots of ways to get in touch with me. Email, send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, if you're in my Facebook group. Leave a note here on the podcast or on the YouTube show. And if you're feeling called to this, don't ignore that voice. Don't ignore the sign that you've been needing to maybe come back to yourself. Instead of all the things the world is always telling us are important every day and all the different shiny objects that we're drawn to every day. If you want to learn how to come home to your truth, to your intuition, and follow that and build the habits, the routines, the systems, and the mindset that supports your life, your schedule, your brain, your family, I am your girl. This has not only been my personal life mission, but it is my mission to help my clients do this and change their lives and just live with so much more peace and plenty. And what I love about the work that I do and my personal signature system and my pillars that I've created is that we don't do this through this lens of like discipline or force or perfection. You know, we don't do perfection, but we do it through permission and presence and practices that work for you specifically. So hit me up if that's something that you know has been calling to you. Please make time this week, intentional time for yourself to regulate your mind, body, and soul. And please share with me. I want to hear. Share in the Facebook group. Share here in the comments. And until then, I will see you next week. And make sure that you spend time finding your peace and plenty. Peace.